They're deciding to have children later for their own personal reasons. I think that's a little bit ridiculous saying, oh, well, they must not know if they're having kids this late. I think that's kind of crazy to say. Do I think this will work? Absolutely not. $5,000 after the child is already here means absolutely nothing. Like, let's just look up how much it takes for a child to do daycare.
And the New York Times reports the Trump administration is considering proposals to encourage more American women to get married and have babies. The incentives would potentially include giving $5,000 in cash to American mothers after delivery and funding programs to educate women on their menstrual cycles. The administration officials have publicly promoted.
What?
That's definitely a slap in the face. That is definitely a slap in the face. Think about how ignorant that sounds. We're going to pay to have the schools educate women on their menstrual cycle. I'm pretty sure they know about their menstrual cycle. They're deciding to have children later for their own personal reasons. I think that's a little bit ridiculous saying, oh, well, they must not know if they're having kids this late. I think that's kind of crazy to say. Do I think this will work? Absolutely not. $5,000 after the child is already here means absolutely nothing. Like, let's just look up how much it takes for a child to do daycare. All right, guys. So when I look at the average, to be honest with you, the average doesn't look like it's that much, but you have to think about it. It also pulls into states like Arkansas, Mississippi.
Places you don't want to go, basically.
States where the income isn't as high. But if you were to look at places that are less rural and more suburban, the prices would probably be a lot more different.
Think about the coast. Let's look at like, for example, average cost of daycare in, let's say, California. How about that? And that's a big old state. So that's even broad as so. But look at that. Now we're talking about $1,200 a month, $16,000 a year.
And he wants to get $5,000.
Right. Well, again, that doesn't sound like crazy. See, here's the thing. I'll take it anecdotally. So I have a family member who has a child, and they're paying, they're paying on the low end. I'm probably making this number up. I forgot what. It was like, was it $300 a week? $300 a week, that equates to $1,200 a month. Okay, so $1,200 a month, is that about what they said? So $1,200 a month might not seem like that much money, but for a family that's bringing in, let's say, the median income in the U.S., which is like $50,000, $60,000, that's a large percentage of your take-home pay. Because you're making $50,000 a year, okay? You're making $50,000 a year, and then you divide that by 12 months. That's about $4,000 a month before tax. So you're talking about $1,200 a month is already more than a quarter of what you make in a month. So more than a quarter of what you make in a month. And again, before taxes is already going out the door on just childcare, okay? Just to put some numbers to it. And this is, again, the average. So some places are going to be a lot higher than this. Some places, like the places you don't want to go, like Mississippi, Arkansas, all the places in the Midwest, no offense, it's going to be lower. But once
you also have to think about it, then they wouldn't make that $50,000 anyway.
That's true too.
That would then be $30,000.
Exactly.
$30,000, and if it was even still low, that might be,
Exactly. That's a good point. Exactly. So
yeah. So I mean, I don't know. I think that was just a shot in the air. I think they just kind of wanted to throw it out as a filler to see like how people would react to it. People obviously reacted terrible to it because I mean it's ridiculous. I mean, let's look at some of the comments. Okay, guys, let's look at some of the comments. 5K, laugh out loud. What a bunch of morons. The U.S. is the only OECD county without national
OECD country. I don't know what OECD means.
And then let's look at it. Let the filthy rich have babies because the rest of the people in the country can't afford a child. I mean, that's the only problem my friends have with having kids is that everything is so expensive. Yeah, I mean, listen, if we're gonna be completely honest, the way the economy is right now for most people is not great. The way that groceries are, how high they are, is not great. The way that gas is not great. Especially don't get me started on housing. Housing is a complete nightmare for most people right now.
You just made everybody wearing headphones deaf.
But housing is a complete nightmare, and not even to mention trying to get a car. That's at least $30K. And you gotta think most people are making, and the average in the United States is $50. So there are cars that cost more than I mean, there's just so much different stuff stopping people from having kids at this time. And this is not even mentioning how bad the dating market is.
By the way, the government needs to stop printing money and handing it out. Haven't they realized that that's a bad idea? It just causes further inflation. That's what happened after the pandemic with the stimulus check and all this money being printed. Stop. But then things ain't more expensive anyway, so your money is worth less. So that $5,000 is not even worth $5,000. Worth like $1,000, $1,500. Just stop it.
I mean, if anything, just an extra tax write-off? Maybe, I don't know.
That's a big thing. They need to make more tax incentives or whatever. They also need to, like the person said up here in the comments, they need to fix paternity leave. That's like something that could, a lot of, like this person said, by the way, OECD stands for Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. Whatever. First world country, okay? Western country. A lot of other countries have a lot more robust maternity and paternity leave. You get a lot more time off. It's paid. In the US, a lot of private companies, all you get is 12 weeks of FMLA, and most of the time it's not even paid, or if it is, it's like 2/3 of your pay from short-term disability. So the point is, people can't afford to have kids, so they have to go right back to work after they have them. The mother drops the baby off, probably a bad way to say it, but the mother has the baby,
drops the mixtape.
and 4 weeks later, they're right back at work. And they have to figure out childcare, which, as you can see, is very expensive. So I think that's one way that could really fix it is if there's a lot more maternity leave. But again, that money has to come from somewhere.
And you have to
taxpayer money, blah, blah, blah.
The first world countries are a lot less community-based, which makes it even harder to have kids, because then it's like, okay, well, who's going to you know, like, obviously childcare costs a whole lot. If this was a different country, a lot of people just have the grandparents watch the kids most of the time. They have a large family. Someone in the family watches the kid while the other they take roles, they take turns. I mean, there's a lot of ways that other people get around childcare. So yeah, I mean, I just don't see that being very feasible. I don't know. I mean, like I said, I think they threw it out as a feeler to see how people think about it. But honestly, I mean, it's a joke.
It's a joke. Now, again, we are two single guys with no kids, so take what we say with a grain of salt. But this is not to get a rocket scientist to recognize that this is...
Yeah, I mean, I don't know who did like 5,000. Yeah. Like, the only way that I could actually see that working is they said $5,000 a month. Crazy as hell. I know they're not doing that. Crazy as hell. I mean, if I were to really think about it, maybe the only way they could get away with it is if like the government paid to watch people's children. But even that, I could see that really going bad. Yeah, think about how bad public school is right now. I'm sorry. Public school is terrible.
Well, some private companies have that a perk. They have like I think they have on-site daycares at these companies. So,
all right, guys, it's obviously that this is not a good decision. So let us know what you think. Do you think this is a good decision? Leave a like, leave a comment. It's a bad decision. Maybe right. Leave a like, leave a comment. All right, decision makers, still have kids.